The Appalachian Mountains were bathed in the pale glow of a sinking sun, casting long, eerie shadows across the rolling hills. Between the peaks and dense forests lay a village, abandoned yet alive in memory, whispered about in nearby towns with fear and reverence. Travelers who had unknowingly wandered near spoke of flickering lights in shattered windows, of footsteps echoing through streets where no one walked. Even the wind seemed to carry secrets. Dr. Elena Morris, a historian with a fascination for forgotten towns, approached cautiously. Her boots crunched on the dirt path, her eyes scanning the horizon for any sign of life or something else. She had heard of the vanished village for years. Some dismissed it as legend, others as a cautionary tale, but Elena was drawn by the mystery, by the tantalizing promise of uncovering history that refused to stay buried. The village appeared suddenly, almost as if it had materialized from the forest mist. Houses leaned at precarious angles, roofs caved in, windows gaping like hollow eyes. Children's toys, worn and sun-bleached, lay half-buried in sand and debris. A single lantern, inexplicably lit, flickered in the distance. Elena's heart thudded. Something about the air felt different, heavier, thicker, as if it carried the memory of countless souls. She stepped forward, notebook in hand. Every step seemed to stir whispers from the wind. A hollow metallic clatter echoed from a roofless building. The faint sound of drums, rhythmic and deliberate, carried through the air. Elena paused, sensing movement in the shadows. Her voice caught in her throat as the wind whispered, "You have come, but the town remembers." Elena moved carefully through the main street. The remnants of a marketplace told of a life once vibrant. Rusted carts leaned against the walls, clay pots lay shattered, and the faint smell of smoke lingered from hearths long cold. She noticed a leather-bound journal lying among the rubble. Its pages were yellowed, edges curled. She opened it to the first page, revealing a message. "They are coming back. Watch the lights, or you will disappear too." Thunder rolled across the mountains, shaking the empty houses. The lantern in the distance flared brighter, then dimmed. Elena's pulse quickened. She saw footprints in the wet soil, too small to be adult, too large to be childlike. They led her toward the church at the village center. Its bell tower swayed, creaking in the wind as if stirred by unseen hands. The surrounding forest rustled. Something unseen followed her movements. Elena could feel the weight of unseen eyes, felt the shadows bend and twist unnaturally as she walked. The journal spoke of a night decades ago when the town vanished, an event that defied all reason. Fires burned in homes, livestock grazed in pens, and yet every villager disappeared without a trace. At the riverbank, the water shimmered in the last light of dusk. Elena peered in and froze, faces reflected in the rippling water stared back at her. She blinked, and they were gone. A low hum rose from the trees, like chanting, like a lullaby that had twisted into something sinister. Hours passed as darkness swallowed the village. Elena lit a lantern and followed the river upstream, toward a clearing described in the journal. The air grew colder, and the whispering grew louder. Fireflies appeared, swirling in hypnotic patterns, illuminating symbols carved into stones, a circle of constellations marking the night sky in strange, unearthly patterns. As she traced her fingers over the carvings, a faint glow emerged from the stones. It was ethereal, alive with a soft hum that vibrated through her chest. The journal mentioned a watcher, a spirit guarding the town's secrets. Elena's breath caught as shadows shifted around the clearing. It was as if the past itself had risen from the earth, taking shape in the mist. She discovered a ruined house, its door barely hanging from rusted hinges. Inside, portraits covered the walls. Eyes seemed to follow her every movement. A family photograph caught her attention, a child pointing toward the forest, a gesture frozen in time. The child's eyes, though faded with age, seemed familiar, as though inviting Elena to follow. Suddenly, a figure appeared at the edge of the clearing. Tall, draped in tattered robes, its face obscured. The air thickened, heavy with the scent of damp earth and something older, something ancient. Elena's lantern flickered. She held her breath as the figure slowly raised an arm, pointing toward the forest. The message was clear. The truth is hidden where the river meets the woods. Elena followed the figure's direction, moving cautiously along the river's edge. The forest grew denser, branches twisting like skeletal fingers. Thunder rumbled overhead, and the river's surface reflected lightning in jagged flashes. She stumbled upon a circle of stones similar to those in the clearing, worn smooth by decades. Symbols glimmered faintly, alive with a strange energy. From the shadows, whispers rose soft, urgent, fragmented words that seemed almost human. Fireflies spiraled upward, forming shapes that resembled the villagers themselves. Elena realized the town had never truly disappeared. It had been trapped in a liminal space, bound by a mysterious force. A sudden movement drew her gaze. Figures began to appear from the mist, ghostly, translucent, wandering aimlessly through the streets. One approached, stepping carefully toward her. She recognized the child from the photograph, now grown but still trapped between the past and the present. A realization struck her. Understanding the story, acknowledging the town's history, was the key to release. The villagers were waiting for someone to remember, someone to bear witness. Elena raised her notebook and began to speak, narrating the town's tale, honoring the lives that had vanished. The night deepened, shadows twisting unnaturally in the lantern light. A low chant echoed from the forest, growing louder, resonating through Elena's bones. The river glowed, revealing the village's spectral figures in the water's reflection. One spirit stepped forward, the child, now fully formed, eyes luminous. Behind him, the rest of the villagers followed, their movements slow and deliberate. Elena's voice trembled as she narrated their history, acknowledging their lives, their fears, their hopes. Slowly, as if recognizing her truth, the villagers began to fade, drifting into the mist, carried by the wind and the river. The storm abated, leaving only a soft drizzle and the faint scent of wet earth. The lanterns dimmed, the forest fell silent, and the village seemed to exhale, relieved after decades of waiting. Elena stood alone in the center of the town, her heart heavy but enlightened. She understood the lesson the town had carried across time. Some mysteries endure, not to terrify, but to remind us of the past. By dawn, the first light crept across the hills. The village, still standing, appeared empty yet peaceful, no longer haunted by restless spirits. Elena stepped onto the dirt road, carrying the recorded story of the vanished town. She knew the tale would reach others, ensuring the villagers' memory lived on. The moral of the story was clear. History is alive in memory, and forgetting it can lead to disappearance, literal or spiritual. Respect for the past preserves the present. Acknowledgement of what has been lost brings closure. The village had vanished in one sense, but in another, it survived through memory and story, whispering its secrets to those willing to listen. Elena left the mountains with a sense of awe and reverence. The town had shown her that some mysteries are not meant to be solved, but honored. And in the quiet forests of the Appalachians, under the morning mist, the whispers lingered, reminding the world that the vanished town had not been forgotten. It had merely waited for someone to see, to listen, and to remember.